Parents Podcast. I'm Not Great Parent Molly, and this is my co-host, Not Great Parent Nathan.
Hello.
And we have our producer, not a parent, but Sawyer is here today.
I'm with my parents, okay?
He's
You're
a
with
not
your
great
parents.
parents. We're the parents now?
Yeah.
I did not sign up for
Like
this.
my mom and dad at work, okay?
Okay, well, there we
Oh,
go. Very good.
yay.
Makes me feel old.
Well,
All right.
I've got a lot of age on you. So.
There you go.
All right, well, it might sound silly that we say we are not great parents.
That's true.
But that's our goal, is to not be great parents. We want to be parents that are raising our children in the goodness of God and
Yes.
seeking Him first and helping our children live a life that is focused on Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. And really what we want to do is we talked about this in the last mini episode. We talked about this in the last main line episode of really talking about influencing our kids, right, towards church and God being their thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That when they would kind of look back on their life and go, what was my thing in high school? You know, every kid's
Right.
like, what's my thing? You know, was it basketball? Was it swim team? Was it drama? Was it this? It really would be a huge win if they go, you know, honestly, my youth group was my thing.
Was my thing.
Yeah.
Those people, those relationships. And Sawyer is a big part of that here at our church. Just recently accepting to stay on with us. He was a resident with us for 2 years.
So
Yeah.
he's choosing
I think
to
I'm
have us
still
be his
technically-
parents longer.
He wants
Yeah,
to be
exactly.
long-term
He wants to be long-term
commitment. But yeah,
commitment
coming on to
child.
be our not just our youth resident, but our youth pastor. And so Sawyer's had a lot of influence, especially in the last
Lot.
year with our students. And so anyway, Sawyer, you're here to really kind of talk about something that you guys do to try and help church become the thing for kids, and that's
Yeah.
these events that you guys do.
Yeah, the big thing is just, you know, as the guy on staff who's focused on cultivating opportunities for teenagers to be involved in our church, a big part of that is making church and something that can like be their place, okay?
Right.
The place that they
Right.
feel like they belong to. And I feel like a big part of that is, you know, just creating those opportunities. And, you know, we love to have fun at these kinds of events, but I think the more important events are actually the things they do with their small groups, honestly. And so because-
Explain the difference, because you
Yeah.
have some events that are for all the small groups.
Yeah, basically, you know, the team and I who focus on this, it's mainly me and one other person. We focus on large group events versus small group events. Large group events generally going to be really fun, big party kind of things.
Kind of like crazy big idea. Give us an
Yeah.
idea of.
So like, I don't know when this episode's coming out exactly, but we either just did or we're about to do a big water balloon based
Right.
party is the thing where we're gonna have like a tournament where teams of like 3 to 4 are gonna like
I
compete.
love these
and
events.
and there's gonna be other mini games going on to win certain like advantages in the tournament.
Things
So-
that wouldn't be fun if you had 6 kids show up.
exactly
That you need 25 to
25
35
plus.
kids playing.
Exactly.
And then it's a total blast.
Yeah. Oh, and the goal of those is literally just be as fun as possible. We also do some serving events with like big groups
Right.
and stuff like that, which I'm really excited for because we're going to start ramping that up a lot more than we have been. But that's still kind of in the development phase. But what I personally just enjoy more are the small group events, because that's where just, you know, as someone who loves doing youth ministry, there's less organization that goes into that, and it's more of an opportunity for me and the other leaders to just build relationships with the students.
Right.
And also for the students to build relationships with each other. You know, these are a lot of students who don't even go to the same school necessarily. Some of them are homeschooled, some of them go to Noonan High School, some of them go to EC or even Northgate and stuff like that, or they're just all over the map is the thing. And what's great about these is it's opportunities for kids, regardless of what's going on in the rest of their week, to come together and know that this is a place that they're loved and stuff like that. It's actually something that I was just talking about the Sunday before we were recording this, is like the fact that this can be a community that everyone is invited to is the
Right.
thing.
Right.
And that's kind of the vibe that we want our small groups to have. And so this small group party that we're going to talk about today, it's just a movie night is the thing. It doesn't sound like much, but the goal of it is, again, it's just to give leaders and students opportunities to just have a good time hanging out is the thing. There's not going to be a single Bible that gets cracked open at this thing, okay? Like, And there's a level to which I think like Jesus at most of his like events, they would pray and they would eat a meal together. That's the stuff that I get excited about is these students eating a meal together and like I'm sure I've told the leaders and like I'm gonna be at one, I'm gonna pray over the meal together.
Right.
And that's basically gonna be it. With the 8th and 9th graders, we're watching Jurassic Park and they're gonna talk through the whole thing and I'm gonna be frustrated because I love that movie, but it's going to be a good time of connections being forged.
Yeah,
so.
walls come down and people just connect.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think there's something I used to, when I did youth ministry forever, I also loved doing movie nights, probably because I am a movie guy and Sawyer's a movie guy. But for me, that was honestly a really formative thing. I remember the first like teenage party I ever went to, like clearly. I was 14 and I was like the summer in between, like when you're leaving 8th grade going into 9th grade. And here at church at that time we'd had like all these drama groups. It was a very strange time. I don't have time to get it. We all had our own drama group and I was the head writer for one of those drama groups.
Oh, so important.
Well, yeah, it was bizarre and I was competing against other teams of writers.
Within our church?
It was
Sounds like something you'd have been totally into.
I
my
loved it.
God.
Oh, I bet you
we
were
won
all over
every
this.
week.
I'm sure.
But so we were doing this, and the team that I was on was all high school juniors and seniors, and I was like the 8th grader that for the whole
So
year.
you were
had
also
done it.
younger and just killing them all.
Oh my God, I had crushes on all the girls, and it was all like a thing. And one of those girls was having a birthday party at her house in her basement.
With a movie.
Oh, and we were going over just to hang out, and then they said, "Hey, let's watch Dazed and Confused."
Oh.
And I had never seen Dazed and
So it was
Confused.
all-
I was 14 years old, and I'm like about to be a freshman in high school. This girl I have a crush on, she's like 17. She's not even interested, but I was like, maybe
Yes.
I have a shot. And I'm sitting there with like all these other teenagers, and we're watching this movie that honestly I probably would have watched with my parents because my parents were not that way, but I kind of knew like, this is not the movie you watch with your
Right.
parents. It's more like a teenage kind of movie. And it was very formative in me in that these were the people I was like, these are going to be my teenage people. Like, this is going to be the people that I'm with because we're kind of doing our own thing, things that I didn't do when I was in middle school, and nothing inappropriate happened.
No.
But, you have that feeling of like, this, and I remember we all, after the movie, we just walked through their neighborhood and
But you
talked
felt
and-
independent and you had
Yes.
something that
These
you got
were
to
not my
talk about
mom's
with each
friends that
other.
I was hanging out with, like her friends and their kids.
No.
This was like my teenage group, and I think that's
It was your own teen group socializing
Yes.
together.
And I think to the point Sawyer's making, if we can make that happen at church, those kind of feelings, those kind of experiences where they're kind of like, these are my friends that I'm choosing to be with, and we're kind of experiencing this thing all together, and it's, all of that kind of stuff. So, Sawyer, why don't you tell us, you've picked out movies for each age group. You've already said the 8th and 9th graders are watching Jurassic Park.
Great movie choice.
It is a great movie choice because I do think a lot of them will have seen it or they're just not going to be interested. And like you said, what 8th and 9th graders want to do is they just want to talk.
Yeah.
And you're giving them the space to do that.
Time and the opportunity to do
Yes.
it.
And where Sawyer can yell at them for not appreciating the greatness of Jurassic Park. So
And annoy
That
you.
will,
And
that
annoy
will
you
be the
for-
battle that I have to fight on that
And
night.
annoy
is the
you
thing.
because they're going to say all the lines of the movie.
yes.
I would be shocked if they
I mean,
remember a single line
So
of
we've
dialogue.
already
Oh, come
filmed
on.
the part that's coming after this with the movie night. I want to ask, have your kids seen Jurassic Park?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how often Hold On to Your Butts gets said at my house?
It's a big one, man. Hold on to your butts is a big one.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh, it's a
all
great
over-
line. I'm not knocking it,
Yeah,
okay?
almost every time Ben pulls out into traffic. My whole family says it. So, there you go.
I used to
Oh,
get the
that's
little
great.
candy cigarettes and let it hang out my
Oh,
mouth.
there-
Anytime I
that's
get one, I go,
great.
hold on to your butts.
Yeah, so you took it, of course you took it to another level.
Oh, because I have to. I
I gotta
do
get
that
those
whole
candy
thing.
cigarettes and put them in my car so that next time Ben pulls out, I can
Everyone
do
can put them
it.
in.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's great.
So what's the movie for this? You have a
Yeah.
6th and 7th grade group.
Yeah,
What are they
so
watching?
that one is Chippendale Rescue Rangers. And
That is a
I-
great choice.
What's crazy is I've already from a couple of the leaders been like, that sounds like a little kid movie, and it does sound
It
like a
does.
little kid movie. It
It's not,
does,
though.
but it's like genuinely one of the funniest movies I've seen this year. It's
Yeah.
like weirdly
It's pretty funny.
hilarious.
But I
Okay.
even think that most movies these days for kids are
Oh,
chock full of
yes.
stuff for all
Oh,
ages.
yeah.
I mean,
But this one is, I would even say, it's closer to, and we say this on the movie night part of this podcast, it's very much like Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes, exactly.
Where it feels, to a 6th and 7th grader, there will be times it feels edgy. There's nothing inappropriate, nothing
No.
like that.
Edgy.
But it will feel,
they won't call it edgy, but it'll feel edgy.
Yeah.
yes, it'll feel edgy.
Exactly.
So-
Or you're like, this is edgy.
and then you're watching a movie with the 10th and 12th graders. What
Yeah.
movie is that?
That is the movie Run on Hulu. It's kind of like a thriller. I don't want to give too much away because you should actually watch it. It's like really good.
It is really good. But it's the kind of movie that teenagers will spend their whole time going like, oh, why is she making that choice?
Yeah,
Why is she
exactly.
doing that? It's not like a
Okay.
horror movie, so you don't have to be
No.
worried about, there's not
It's just a
obscene
not
amounts
gore.
of
It's like
violence.
Yeah.
Or,
suspenseful.
oh, yes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's one of those where it's like, don't open that door.
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
go down there.
Oh, yeah, that-
don't
Exactly.
do that.
Ooh, can
Which
I
is
come to that
perfect.
night?
Oh, I mean, it's at his house. I'm pretty sure.
It is
so-
at
I'm
my
like,
house,
that would be
so-
one I would probably
Yeah.
like to watch.
But
No,
it's a fun movie. I will say it is very much like you're trying to figure out who the crazy person is in the movie.
100%.
Awesome.
And it
Very
is-
psychological.
Yes, it's very very fun. And so,
Well,
anyway, go ahead.
I was going to say, so get your kids to come.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is, this is a summertime thing. And I remember when I
Oh,
would do
yeah.
events during the summer, when I was youth minister, and how frustrating it was because, inevitably, and if you've got vacation, it's another thing, but inevitably vacations come up or, oh, my kid went to Six Flags today, or
They're tired.
it always felt like the church activity was never the priority.
Yeah.
And so, these are Sawyer's events, so I'm not going to make him say it, but I'm saying this,
No.
make it a priority.
oh
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, I think especially in the summer because
Yes.
otherwise, if your kids haven't seen this group or haven't
Yeah.
spent
Well-
this nice time where it's really like non-prescribed and it's just time they can just spend together as in their communities, when they start school in the fall, they'll feel out of the community,
Yeah.
and you
100%.
do not want that. So
Well, and-
prioritize it.
And another thing worth mentioning is, if this event is their only connection to student ministry, it's going to be really awkward is the thing because they went to one event, or if they only come on the event days, there's a couple of kids that do that and they lack that connection. There's a level of consistency that I think about certain kids at these events versus other kids at these events. They have a better time because it is a community that they're already plugged into.
Right.
So this should almost be like secondary to coming to church on Sunday
Oh,
and
of
stuff
course.
like that.
Right.
Of
And there's a
course.
level to which I think what can work is if your kid is not super connected right now, these can be chances for your kids to get connected is the
Yes.
thing.
Either way,
And
yes.
so,
So
no matter how it works, this needs to either be the next step or the first of several steps is
Sure,
the thing.
sure.
And so
No, I agree with all that. And so Sawyer, I, and Donnie got into a Google Meet again to talk about some movies that you guys could actually watch as a family.
when you're not watching Run like me.
Yes, exactly. Well, you could watch as kind of their companion pieces.
Oh, good.
They're movies that kind of are the same vibe. So if you have a student who goes to these, when you come back, go, hey, I know you watched this movie. Did you like it? Oh, yeah, I loved it. Hey, let's watch this movie. So you can have a similar formative kind of experience with your kid watching it. Or if you've got kids that are younger, I think most of these would be age appropriate even for younger kids.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm going to toss it now to that good looking devil, Nathan. And
Oh.
he's going to take it over here for the Family Movie Night podcast.
All right, have a good one.
See ya.
Welcome to the Family Movie Night podcast segment of the Not Great Parents podcast, mini episode. We want to help you, as we always say, have better conversations around the content you consume. My name is Nathan. As you already know, I am here in a Google Meet with the hero of this podcast segment, Donnie Dorsey. How you doing?
Living the life, and I don't know if they consider that a myth or not, but it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, man, the myth, the legend, living the life. I love it. I love it very much. Donnie Dorsey doing well. And of course, the villain of our podcast segment, Sawyer Hewlett. How you doing today?
I'm good. I honestly enjoy the new regularity that we get to do this. Okay, like once a month, just the three of us get to have conversations about movies rather than like 2 episodes every other Saturday. This is a perfect schedule,
Well, there you go. Sawyer, we're glad we could accommodate you. That's what this is about. We need to accommodate Sawyer. Now,
I am the villain of this podcast, so I think it is fitting that I make this all about me. Okay, I am a narcissistic. I'm like the high evolutionary, you know. I know what's perfect. We should all just listen to me.
that's great because I bet the majority of people who've listened to this podcast do not get that reference. So we're just going to leave it. You can Google it. I bet nobody got that reference, but that's all right. We are moving on. As if you can't tell, hopefully, because we have not filmed at this point the previous segment that led into this, my hope is by that point, I do not have a stuffy nose. But I have an unbearable stuffy nose at this moment. So that is why I sound exactly as if I have clogged my pores with some kind of cotton swabs. But we are here to talk about these movie nights that the student small groups are going to be having. And you've already heard a little bit about those. But I wanted to kind of just hear, Donnie did youth ministry with me for 10 years more, and I know has done several movie nights with students. Donnie, what's been your experience of doing a movie night with middle and high school students?
I mean, well, of course, like there's always like that, the initial getting, like they're always kind of that anticipation to figure out, what are we watching? Is this going to be a good movie? You know, basically kids going, hey, do you have good taste or not?
Yeah. They're judging you based on what you picked.
Exactly. They're like, you picked this.
Well, I would like to say Sawyer picked all three of these movies, so judge him harshly.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how it has to be. Like, we can't you don't get a pass just because, you know, I'm not there. You totally will be judged.
Okay, very good. Well, let's get into those. Movie picks. So, the very first one for the 6th and 7th graders is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, which is available on Disney Plus. Sawyer, can you tell us a little bit about why you picked this particular movie?
So I picked this one for two real reasons. One, the 6th and 7th graders, I'm catering just a little bit to the 5th grader that might still remain in some of them and stuff like that. And it is definitely a fun movie for kids is the thing. However, I also think about the 8th graders that's going, like some of those 7th graders that are becoming 8th graders. And I think that this movie kind of balances all those aspects really well, because there's also some good edgy humor that I really like. I have an 8th grader's sense of humor, if I'm being honest with myself. And
I believe that.
And Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers also has an 8th grader's sense of humor, in my opinion, without having a 17-year-old's sense of humor also. So I really like it. It has some really it's honestly just a really funny movie. Especially considering that it's a Disney Plus streaming movie, not something that I would like when I first watched the movie. It's not something that I was expecting to be that good. I was actually expecting to be kind of bad. And I saw some recommendations from it and I was like, okay, fine, I'll check it out. And then I was like, okay, that was like really funny. And I still really, really like it is the thing. I've watched it twice now, and both times I was just like, gosh, this is funny.
Yeah, I think for parents who haven't seen it, the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is kind of in the vein of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So it's all these kind of animated characters as if they were real people who were acting on the TV shows you know them from. So from the 80s, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, late 80s, early 90s cartoon show, which I watched a lot. Donnie, was that a show you watched?
100%. I've actually even introduced that to my kids. There's so many little ones like that. There's Tailspin, there's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Yeah, it was a part of my childhood and I loved it.
Yeah, so this movie kind of existed that, and like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, there's this kind of film noir mystery element to it, and it feels, honestly, it just feels like it's ripping off Who Framed Roger Rabbit almost at every turn, but in a way that, like Sawyer said, is very funny and very enjoyable, and so, yeah, I definitely also enjoy this as well. Donnie, you've seen this before?
I have, and I enjoy it, and I think it's such a good movie for the age group that Sawyer mentioned, because I think it does deal with some very specific topics that that age group will understand, of being in school and feeling like you don't quite fit in, and then
Yeah.
finding your people, and then finding a way to connect to people, and then and then when you do find personal success, sometimes that can drift your relationships apart. And that's kind of what happens in middle school, is sometimes you might become the super popular one or whatever those things are, and then all of a sudden it's like your friends are like, I don't know if I like this. So
Yeah.
good movie.
No, I definitely think it works. And there's almost nothing I would consider too objectionable in it. You can figure out what's in it by going to imdb.com, searching for the movie and looking for the parents guide. So if you're curious about what your kids are watching, you can see it there. But I definitely think it is perfectly fine for 6th and 7th graders. So Donnie, you were tasked with kind of coming up with a piece of content, a movie, a TV show that families after the event could watch together and kind of treat it like a double feature, like a pairing. Hey, I know you watched this with your friends. Here's a movie that's kind of similar. So, Donnie, what are you bringing to us for Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers?
So both of mine are kind of newer, more recent movies that I thought of, and I think either one of them could work. Is The Last Wish, Puss in Boots movie, as well as Super Mario Brothers. I think it very much has
good choices, just good choices all around.
I love, because I watched it with my daughter, and she absolutely loved the Super Mario Brothers movie. And there's so many, like the comedy is so good. The characters that they chose there, it's just entertaining from start to finish. And definitely, as soon as you watch Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers and then you go watch one of these, you'll have a great family movie night.
Oh, absolutely. And I believe Puss in Boots Last Wish is still on Peacock. It'll probably be on Amazon Prime soon, because I've noticed a lot of the Universal movies are going from Peacock to Amazon Prime. So it might be there by the time we're talking about this. But Super Mario Brothers is available to rent. Yep. Both of those movies, great choices. I think they pair very well. And we've already mentioned it. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is on Disney Plus, and my kids have watched it and loved it. They don't know almost many of those like Betty Boop type characters, like these 1950s cartoon characters, but they still loved it. They still got like the whole vibe. So I think all of those movies, great choices. So Sawyer Hewlett, why don't you talk about the movie that you guys picked? I don't think you have to tell them what the movie is or why you like it. I think people want to know, why did you pick a movie from 1993 for 8th and 9th graders to watch?
Well, look.
Oh, and the movie, in case you forgot from earlier, is Jurassic Park.
Yes. The reason that I picked Jurassic Park for the 8th and 9th graders is because it is, for lack of a better term, basically perfect. It is one of my favorite movies ever. And the thing with Jurassic Park is it kind of blends a lot of things really well. It's really, really fun. Obviously, it's a fun Steven Spielberg adventure, and it has all those beats. It has the Harrison Ford type character with Sam Neill. He's not as good as Indiana Jones, but he's still really good. He does something different, which is that he kind of plays the curmudgeon-y side of that kind of a character really well. Yeah. But the movie has an amazing ensemble. Laura Dern is a great second lead in the movie. Richard Attenborough is a great villain. And that is the thing. Most people don't realize that Richard Attenborough is the villain of the movie, but that's a whole nother thing that I could get distracted on. Easily my favorite character is Ian Malcolm, played wonderfully by Jeff Goldblum. The movie.
I hate to interrupt you, because I know you just want to talk about Jurassic Park. This is a movie that everyone on this podcast has seen. Yeah, you do not have to recommend Jurassic Park. What I want to know,
he did resell it to me, though. He did kind of resell it to me. I was like, wait a minute.
Why are you explaining who is in this movie? What I need to know, and I think the parents may be trying to figure out, is why are my kids going to a party to watch a movie they've seen since they were kids? Talk to them about why 8th and 9th graders.
I don't know if an 8th or 9th grader has seen this movie.
I bet almost 100%.
Okay, we'll see. Okay. I just think that this movie, and also it's a movie that You know, if it's on in the background, you know, an 8th and 9th grader isn't going to a movie night to be riveted by a compelling story and stuff like that. But
Right.
it's going to be talking in the background.
It will not be in the background. As someone who has done
Yeah.
this many times,
No,
it
no,
will
no.
be
The
foreground.
movie will be on in the background.
Yes.
That's my point. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, you know, this will be a serviceable 2-hour movie that'll get the job done, and I will have a good time watching it.
In all
So-
fairness, though, Nathan, I will say this: I have been disappointed by the number of movies that the younger generation has not seen. Like when I mention it and I make a reference to it, and every person I can, it's almost like seeing like a pop up. Like because as soon as I mention it, you can
Sure.
tell who's seen it, and then like the younger's like, what's this movie you're talking about? Sounds really old. I'm like, no.
That group
Absolutely.
Well,
averages-
let's be 100% clear. Jurassic Park is really old. It's 30 years old.
yeah.
This is not. It is as old as it is. I'll say this: it's older than Star Wars was the first time I saw Star Wars.
Yeah.
I saw Star Wars in 1995 for the 1996 maybe for the first time, and that movie was only 19 years old. This movie is 30 years old currently. My guess is, because I know parents who have kids in this age group, Jurassic Park is Gen X's Star Wars. The way the baby boomers felt about Star Wars is the way, and every Gen X parent showed their kids Jurassic Park, and they loved Jurassic Park like we loved Star Wars.
I'm just telling you, we have 11 or 12 kids that'll be at that event. I bet 5 or 6 of them have seen Jurassic Park.
I will take the over on that. I bet well over 60% have seen it.
Maybe we'll see. We will see. I'm excited to see how many of them have, because there's
Well,
going to be.
but I want to get back to, because I don't want to get into this. The point of why you're doing this, which is what we wanted to talk about, is because 8th and 9th graders are not going to pay attention to a movie.
Yeah.
They are going to want to talk to their friends. 6th and 7th graders need the social lubricant of a movie to make, because they're going to be so awkward. They need something compelling.
Yeah, exactly.
8th and 9th graders are going to want to talk. I remember when you and I had this conversation, you picked Jurassic Park. I said, I think that's a great choice because they're not going to want a movie that they're going to have to pay attention to.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's a key point. But Sawyer, you did pick a movie that parents could maybe watch with their kids afterwards to kind of say, hey, here's another movie that's kind of like Jurassic Park. What do you have?
It is very loosely connected in that Jurassic Park is directed by Steven Spielberg, and this movie was executive produced by Steven Spielberg. And they are
Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
No, I promise that movie will never get brought up on this podcast again. I promise. Okay. No,
Challenge
it
accepted.
is also a movie from the 90s. And I will admit this movie is very of the 90s. And it stars maybe the biggest star from the 90s, good old Will Smith. And it also stars my favorite boomer actor, Tommy Lee Jones. We were talking about 1997's Men in Black. And, I'm just talking about this because, kind of similarly to Jurassic Park, your kid is probably not going to be paying super close attention. But if you can get them to pay attention to this movie, it is an amazingly good time of a movie. You and your kids will just have a blast watching this movie. It's kind of ridiculous. It's cartoonish. It's fun. It has some edgy humor and stuff like that. And also Tommy Lee Jones is just a gift to humanity in this movie. And I can't recommend it enough. It'll be a fun time.
All right. Well, yeah, I love Men in Black. I think people still will love it. I think it very much feels like a Marvel movie of the 90s in that it's mostly an action comedy, lots of joking, lots of chemistry, all of that kind of stuff. So, no, I definitely think that's a great choice. I think families are going to enjoy it. And I would say probably if you can't, if they've already seen Men in Black 3 is also really good. So
it is very good.
Skip 2, go straight to 3.
Yes.
So anyway, let's talk a little bit about the movie you've picked for the 10th through 12th graders, which is a movie that went straight to streaming. It was on Hulu.
on
It was
Hulu.
called Run.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Run is about a girl. It's kind of more of a it's a thriller, and it is about a young girl who her mom is kind of like taking care of her because she's disabled, and the movie is kind of about her learning that she's actually maybe not disabled, and she might just have a crazy mom. And
That's a good description.
I don't want to give anything else away because it's a really fun movie, and I picked this one for the high schoolers because it is a very engaging movie. Is the thing. It's kind of the opposite of what my method was with the 8th and 9th graders. Where like this movie does require something of you, and the 10th through 12th graders will just have a fun time watching this movie with each other. Is the thing. That's kind of the point of it all. And that's the point of all these movies. Is the thing is that the groups would have fun with each other watching this movie or talking about the movie or around the movie even. And so, with this one in particular, I went with something a little, something that I would be this is the one that I'd be most likely to throw on is the thing at this stage in my life. And, and I don't know if that's actually true. I do love Jurassic Park, but all that to say, Run is a really good movie.
I was really afraid he was just going to start describing more things about Jurassic Park. John Williams' score is sweeping, and it is emotionally captivating. It pulls you out of a score from the 1940s.
Okay, you're preaching in the choir. Okay, but no, I mean, I think, I think Run is a fun movie. So,
yeah, I think what's great about Run, and
I was actually recommended this by Nathan.
Yeah, I think what works. I've done this movie before at a movie night, not with teenagers, but with young adults, and what's great about it is, 6th and 7th graders don't want to have to talk much. They want to be able to kind of share an experience and just be able to laugh. They feel a little awkward. They need something to kind of capture their attention so they can kind of build relationships. 8th and 9th graders, as Sawyer's already said, they're going to be talking the whole time, regardless of what the movie's about. They're going to make fun of the movie because they're too cool for everything. 10th through 12th graders want to have a movie that they can talk about. They want to talk about the movie, and Run is one of those perfect movies that's very much like a what would you do in this situation type movies. And so with that same thought, the director of Run directed a movie before this called Searching, which I've actually talked about on this podcast before. The sequel to Searching is now available on Netflix. It's called Missing. It's about a teenage girl who's kind of home alone while her mom goes on a trip to, I believe, Mexico, but maybe Guatemala. It's like a all-inclusive resort type thing. She ends up, the mom ends up getting kidnapped while on the vacation, and the daughter is trying to search for this missing mom. But the whole movie takes place on a computer screen. And so what's very interesting is you get this kind of different way to see a thriller that's very engaging and will have your teenager talking to you the whole time about, hey, what would you do in this situation? What would I do? And you're getting a lot of conversation about the movie. And so Missing is great. It's on Netflix. And I really think it's a great opportunity for you as a family to kind of enjoy a movie and talk to your teenager about it. So that's my suggestion. Have either of y'all seen Missing?
I haven't seen Missing. I've seen Searching. I haven't seen Missing.
I haven't seen any of them, so they are missing in my search history.
Oh, Donnie, I saw what you did there, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. In fact, that was so good. We're going to end on that joke, and we'll give you guys some time to think about that. But certainly, if you've got a teenager, send them to these small group events to help them build relationships, and also to build relationship with you. Watch one of these movies with them and have a great evening. We'll see you guys next time.